like Shay said earlier, I'm one of those people who 10 minutes killed me. Like I almost did that. I can't do my homework yesterday. I said to my partner, I'm just going to cancel. I can't talk for 10 minutes. You know, it's really difficult for me to only talk for 10 minutes. And I'm usually the one the bouncer carries out at the end of the night in a pub, saying I really want to go home. I'm like, but I haven't finished. I've got one more thing to say. But I've got my notes. I break rules, so you know it's not a memory game. But I want to talk to you. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for showing up. So I'd like you to give yourselves a clap and a cheer, because you've all showed up, and so have I. But imagine if I just showed up and stood here and didn't really say anything. You'd be embarrassed, thinking, oh, God, why did I let that lunatic on the stage? And you'd all be thinking, what the heck is going on here? But in the true sense of the word, I would have showed up by just being here. But I'm going to be talking about showing up, and I'm not talking about just being somewhere. I'm talking about it from a much deeper perspective. Because showing up, and I want to just make a little thing here. Showing up, and a lot is a spiritual term, but a lot of these spiritual terms have been taken over by online marketers because they believe it's all about them creating sales. So it's as if spirituality, I've got a real bee in my bonnet about this. Spirituality was created for online marketers to make you buy. And it's just like, and it's dumbed it down. It's taken the essence out of the truth of all of this. Because showing up is everything. Showing up is how you are in your life. If you don't show up, nothing will ever change in your life. If you don't show up, that's kind of it. If you wake up in the morning and sit on your bed and think, well, I'm up, and I'm like me standing on this stage going, here I am, what's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. So you have to be in it to win it. We've heard that saying. And what is that it, really? It's everything. It's absolutely everything, from wealth, which is a great big favourite topic of mine. And I broke my rules. I didn't want to talk about wealth because it's that obvious place that I go to. But it's everything. It's the whole part of your life. Nothing will change if you're not showing up in it. And if things change, they kind of change in that watered kind of, because time has allowed them to change because you've got older. So it happened on my 40th birthday. Like magic, on the actual birthday, I was on my knees and I got up and my knees hurt. So things will change, but not with any noteworthiness or happiness if you're not really showing up. And I know that, I've forgotten your name, the first speaker. Joel. Joel was touching on this. Dreams. Who's got dreams? Who's got a dream to write a book, make a film, have a holiday home? I've just heard about Bora Bora today, so who'd want a home there, or Hawaii, or Spain, or wherever? You know, we've all got dreams. Who's been holding their dream for more than a year or two? Let's be honest. Most of us have. We've been like, this will be the year. Now it's September, it's back to school here, so this is it. New pencil case, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. I've got 4 months left. September, October, November. Yeah, 4 months left till the end of the year. This is the year I'm going to make my dream happen. And I had a dream when I was young, and it started in the back of a Peugeot car estate in the 70s. My mum would be screaming at my dad to slow down, and they'd have that parent argument in the car, like only parents could have. And I believe that in the 1970s, parents argued worse than they do now, because they probably didn't know any better. And I used to zone off. I was about 7, 8 years old. I know I look like I was born in the 80s, but I'm not. But I used to zone off, and I used to imagine myself standing in front of people talking about love, which is money, manifest into matter, talking about how to not give up, how to have better lives, how to be more compassionate and kind. Maybe it was a reaction to my mum and dad, just bickering and annoying me, I don't know. But it's what I used to do. And I remember, you know, when you're driving on a motorway, and if you're lying in the back of an estate car, if anyone's ever done it, with the wind, like looking at the window at the back, you see cars coming. So you've got this really funny view that's upside down and topsy-turvy. But I used to allow myself to zone off and go into this kind of dream state. And here I am now. And it didn't happen. I've spoken on stages around the world. It didn't happen because I waited. You know, and I know as British people, we love waiting in a queue. We're waiting to be told it's your turn, your number. You know, even now at the deli counter in a supermarket, we have to put a little ticket. And you kind of go into your shop and you come back and go, is it my number yet? No, not yet. So it's, you know, that slight irritation of life, but that's what British people do. We queue. We're brought up to do this queuing. And if you feel that you're queuing in an imaginary line to manifest your dream, stop it. Just stop it right now, because you've got to show up. Showing up is the way to do this. And showing up is about being present. So I said that. It's about being willing. It's about being committed. But it's also being willing to take a risk. And a lot of people confuse risk with reckless. People will argue with me and defend their thing. Well, you want me to take a mortgage out to work with you, or this and that. No, I don't. But you've got to take some risks in life. You've got to do what's uncomfortable. If you're not willing to be uncomfortable, you're not going to grow. You're just going to maintain the status quo. It's like you're going to keep digging on the same bit of ground, going, I'll just come back to that again tomorrow. But you think you're making progress and you think you're moving forward. So waiting in turn is something that we do when we're waiting to create our dream, to create our life, when we're trying to show up for ourselves. So we're waiting for the universe to say, it's you. I used to imagine, remember when the lottery first came out, that big hand that advert used to have that big hand out of the sky. I used to think, it's going to be my turn, they're picking me. I used to want proof. I want proof. If I'm going to go on that step, I want proof. It's not going to disappear. I'm not going to fall underneath it. That kind of thing. I want proof. The other thing would be signs. I'm looking for a sign. And of course, every sign is never enough. That sign becomes the next sign, becomes the next sign, and then we turn them all into omens anyway, because, well, maybe that was a blackbird, and I went under a ladder, so that must mean something, that must mean that it's bad, and it was a Friday, and it was Friday the 13th, so we create these weird superstitions. So we wait for permission to show up in our own lives. And that's not the only thing. The other thing is illusion, and again, I found it really fascinating where you started and where we're ending here. But the other illusion, I hear a lot of people say, well, I wrote in my journal last night that I'm really, really ready. That's it. I'm ready. I want it all. I'm going to make it all happen. Then they wake up in the morning. Day goes, another day goes, another day goes. Nothing's changed. So what did you actually do? Well, I put it in my journal and the universe just didn't conspire with me. And it's just this thing of, wow, really? Is that how it worked? You put it in your journal? That's the illusion. The other thing is fear. Big topic. I'm not going to talk about it I'm not going to go off on a tangent. That's the main thing I'm trying to say here with fear. But what fear does, if we don't embrace it and walk through it and turn it into our motivator, we're always trying to sidestep it. But it's always radiating this energy around us, and it creates our ifs and buts. It creates our own personal superstitions. It creates our conditions, because we believe, well, if that person doesn't say yes, or that person doesn't respond to my email, that means this, and this will mean this, and we kind of create this story that keeps us safe from ever addressing our own fear. So that stops us showing up, because the fear is like this barrier of energy. And fear wants to prove itself right. Our emotional body wants to prove itself right. It wants to be liked. It wants to be approved of. And in handing our power over to it, what we do is we make ourselves wrong all the time. And then another reason is, of course, action. Now, I suspect the people that hear and the wonderful people that Shay attracts, and from the people that I've been meeting and talking, you're all brilliant action takers. But there's a lot of people... and I don't know that many people that really don't take action, that hide under the bed. That's a real extreme form of not living. But what we do is we keep ourselves so busy. So busy. Usually busy on other people. Usually busy on everything except. So I remember at the time of whenever I had to revise for exams, the first 2 weeks it would be a colour-coded revision chart that I would be making. And then a couple of days till the exams would be starting, and I'd be so bored of looking at that revision thing that I'd colour-coded, and I didn't even care. I'd given up the ghost by that point. So it's the kind of thing we do. We keep ourselves really, really busy doing everything but. So showing up is about showing up for you. And when I talk to people about showing up, well, I've got my family, I've got my, I'm a newlywed, I've got, my parents are relying on me, they're not well, and we can list people, it's my community, my clients, and that they are all a priority. But what's been forgotten is so are you, so are we. If we don't show up for ourselves, how, and I do move around so I probably changed the focus there too. I have ants in my pants. But if we don't show up for ourselves, what exactly are we modelling? And what exactly are we doing? Which is basically we're sacrificing ourselves, saying that we're not important. My dream is not important. That's what we're saying when everybody else is a priority and we don't even make our list. I read an article the other day by one of my spiritual mentors talking about, are you a Sunday driver? Do we give ourselves just 10 minutes on a Sunday night to focus on what we want and what we want to achieve, and then we forget about it all week, and then we come back to it again on the Sunday to say, right, okay, this week. And it's about putting ourselves at the top, and the fear we have is if we make ourselves a priority and show up for ourselves and give ourselves what we need first, we won't have time for other people. And that's the divine joke is you will have more time. Time will expand because you'll be in a different state of being. And it's easy for me to say here, for anyone that stands on this side of an event, it's easy for people to say that we are, don't worry about failure, just go for it, show up for your dreams and all of that. And it's not about, I used to want to swing for people when they said that. But what it's really about is realising that when you go for something, if you were standing here, you've now moved to here, or you've moved somewhere else. You are not in that same place, and your perception of who you are will change. What you know is possible, or what you had kept hidden and were trying to pretend isn't you, but is part of your greatness, will come and shine through. So I'm just going to end on a very, very brief, I'm just running over, so I'm going to just end on a very brief story about something that I did this year. I flew to Hong Kong to run my own event. I didn't have a client base there. I had lots of friends and family. Are you sure? You don't want to lose money. I'm just worried about you doing that and going on your own. Are you sure? Are you sure? You don't want to lose money. You know things are really difficult and the world is in a really funny state. My emotional body was telling me I'm not good enough. My head was telling me to be cautious. I listened with my mouth shut and said, you know what? However, I'm still doing it. I was flying on a Wednesday. Tuesday, 11 o'clock at night, I had 3 people booked or 4 people booked for the talk. And I was a bit like, I've got to cancel it. I'm not going to make the money. This is ridiculous. But I did some inner work, looked at where I wasn't showing up. I left early in the morning, got on the plane, got very, very pissed all the way there. Arrived and because I was travelling business class, it was free champagne, and I'm like, right, bring it to me. Got to Hong Kong, walked around like a space cadet, because it's like wild, I've never been there. My talk was on the Friday, there were 16 people there, and 14, and 6 of them carried on working with me. That was all my airfare for that side of the trip covered. And then I never worked again in 5 weeks away, but I had a very, very interesting brunch with someone, which made me come home in a profit. Would that have happened if I hadn't had showed up for myself? If I hadn't had booked the venues? If I hadn't had allowed myself to be challenged to being more? I don't think so. I don't believe it. And that's the thing that I want to leave you with. So sorry I've overrun, but it's to say, just show up for yourself. Be brave, be courageous. Fall, we always get back up again. Watch a baby learn to walk. And then we'll realise that we are more than we can ever believe.